Hi, this is Rob. Like you, he's in the construction industry in the NT. Rob runs a successful team who do long days to produce high quality work on time for their clients. Rob is always on the lookout for ways to grow the business, and his team regularly submit applications to tender for Department of Infrastructure projects, and are often successful. The key to their success is their knowledge of the new Indigenous Participation on Construction Projects policy. Late last year, the Chief Minister got together with the head of Department of Infrastructure and have been talking about how there was a lack of take-up of Indigenous workers in the construction industry. Coupled with that, it was known that the industry had a long-term lack of a sustainable local skilled workforce. So together, they came up with the Indigenous Participation Policy. What this means is that when tendering for civil works or construction projects over $500,000, Rob's team would need to 1. Address a series of targeted Indigenous employment and training questions under the Local Development and Value-Adding Assessment criteria, and 2. Submit an Indigenous Development Plan proposal. At least 20% of the tender awarding decision will be based on Rob's team having a well-structured and genuine response to these 2 and other local development criteria. With this extra workload, what is in it for Rob, you may well ask? Well, if he successfully addresses those and other criteria, and his price is competitive, then he's far more likely to win the contract. If he can demonstrate throughout the project real, relevant, sustainable and positive employment outcomes for his Indigenous workforce, he will establish himself as a valued contractor in the eyes of the department. To assist Rob in meeting these targets, the department has implemented an Indigenous Employment Provisional Sum. That means a percentage of the total cost of the project can be claimed back in Indigenous wages. To claim for what is essentially a wage subsidy, Rob's team will provide in a progress report to the department, timesheets and payslips for each Indigenous employee working on the project. The department will then pay Rob back those wages in full. So, if Rob wins a $1 million project, for example, he has the potential to claim back his Indigenous wages over the life of the contract. The cost of his Indigenous workforce is basically zero. He can claim the full wages, including tax and super costs, for each Indigenous employee directly employed on the job, even if it's the trainee. What does this mean for Rob's subcontractors working on the project? Well, Rob will be looking for subcontractors who are keen to incorporate a 10% component of Indigenous employment. He will be able to claim on their behalf and pass on the wage reimbursement to them. He will look for subcontractors who are actively seeking to achieve this, as it will massively contribute to his likelihood of winning the overall tender. As Rob and his subcontractors grow their Indigenous workforce component, they will be able to tender at a more competitive rate, as they will essentially be receiving a refund for the Indigenous portion of the labour on the project. The good thing about this is that as Rob develops his Indigenous workforce, he will confidently be able to sharpen his pencil on future tenders, knowing that a good portion of his labour costs are free. For Rob, it all just makes good business sense. So like Rob and his subcontractors, you will need to be sharp and on the ball to remain competitive in the tender marketplace. Do not get left behind. For more information on Indigenous employment and assistance with the Provisional Sum, contact shear@karensheldon.com.au today.